representatives. Is Taylor Bazley here?
Taylor let me know yesterday that he's out sick, so I'm going to give a poor man's version of his updates. I'll give you what I know. I welcome questions. I may or may not be able to answer them. I don't have the same level of detail he has on some of those things. But I think Taylor was going to address potentially a couple of things. One is that there is going to be a bollard replacement project along Oceanfront Walk. This is a direct result. I'm sure most of the people in this room were aware of the incident, the Gruppioni case. The Italian honeymooner who was mowed down on Oceanfront Walk by someone, I believe, angry with their meth dealer. And that family sued the city, and as part of the settlement of that case, in addition to remuneration, the city agreed to undertake certain changes to the bollards along Oceanfront Walk. So my understanding, I've not seen renderings of these, I've only heard a verbal description, but my understanding is that all of the bollards are going to be replaced from the Washington Pier to the city of Santa Monica boundary. My understanding is that there are only certain streets that emergency services use to access Oceanfront Walk. Those particular streets will have retractable bollards that will be able to be operated by emergency personnel only, and they will recede into the sidewalk. I believe that it is a comprehensive overhaul of all the bollards, so I believe that most of the existing things that serve that function, whether it be the white bollards or some of the racks or various other things, I believe that the majority of those will be removed under this project and replaced with a standardized type of bollard. Currently, that project is, I believe, has been bid. I believe they have a vendor to do it who is experienced in this particular area. I know it was mentioned that they did a similar project at Universal City Walk. And I believe Councilmember Bonin is currently working to allocate the money for the project in this year's budget. And so it is expected that it will be funded for the new fiscal year beginning July 1. And it is their hope that the work will begin sometime in the second half of this year. So they would like to get it started as quickly as possible. The second item, Recreation and Parks is working on some improvements. On Windward, there are, I guess I would call it, they're etched paintings in the pavement of the plaza, and those, and Suzanne is probably actually more knowledgeable about this than I am, but those are very faded and are being scheduled for repainting, and I believe there's also a process of, because they're inset into the pavement, of sort of cleaning that up and in some instances actually polishing the pavement so that it takes the paint properly, etc. And that project is also expected to be sometime later this year. I asked for, but I don't have an update yet on whether or not it's been scheduled. But that painting project is expected to take place this year. It'll be done in stages so that public access is still pretty well maintained around it. They're also looking at potentially redoing the basketball court again, resurfacing there. I think they have someone who may have pledged funds to allow that to happen. And then I know Suzanne, I believe, is working with Rec and Parks also on some of the little informative kiosks in the area and getting those repaired or replaced as well. Is that an accurate representation, Suzanne? And then, as Suzanne mentioned, I don't think there's a specific plan in place for it yet, but you are working with them on the Poets Wall and some other items to see if those can be repaired. Those are damaged as well.
Did the Market and Main Street mural come up too? That was completely covered? Market and Main Street, there's an old historic mural that was completely covered.
Yeah, on the corner.
Yeah.
Is Main Street, is that in the bid?
Most of it is, yes. I believe that parcel is.
Yes.
Great, okay. That's, yes. Esther owns that, I think.
Exactly.
Yes, and I spoke, Esther.
She had somebody else.
Esther has a representative repping her on that, and I had a conversation with him a couple of weeks ago. I told him a little bit about what we're discussing about the bid having a future role in helping to maintain murals that have been protected with the protective coating. He indicated to me that that mural was not so protected, so unfortunately he has to look for a restoration type approach for this, but I did let him know what we were working on, and that in the future, if when the mural was redone, if it were protected with either the Spark product or the city product, then after that happens, then the bid would be able to respond to or address the graffiti on the mural.
That was originally the fall of Icarus, in a spacesuit.
No, this is on,
No,
this is on the corner of Market and
No,
the senior citizens center. That's
No.
what we're talking
no, talking about the one on,
the one closer to Hama. It's
about.
kind of the
That's
block
next to
west
Hobson.
of.
That's what she's talking
oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Happens to me too.
Can I interject a point too while we're talking about wax? There is a product that's cold wax that goes over the murals. And when they're painted on, the guys don't know it, but they're painting on a film of cold wax that can be steamed off and immediately re-waxed. And the guys get very frustrated very quickly because they don't want to go steal more paint and not have it last longer. So that may be something to incorporate.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but we're currently having some discussions involving Northern Parks, Suzanne, Spark, Taylor on behalf of the city, et cetera. And the murals that the city is responsible for has had a role in either funding or declaring historic, et cetera, are a certain number of the murals in our community. And they have a vendor who uses, I believe it's a wax product, to protect murals. And then some of the murals in the area also are protected by, and I think there's a goal to get more of them protected by, Spark has a product of their own as well, which my understanding is it's not wax-based. And I think their product actually helps bond, tell me if I screw this up, helps bond the paint in the mural to the building to also reduce the amount of damage to it over time. Both of these products we're looking at, but we believe the bid will be able to play a role in helping to remove graffiti from the protected murals, because in both of these instances, to date, our understanding is there's a fairly simple process whereby the damaged section of the mural, that wax or the Spark product can be removed with a wipe or with a spray, and then the protective coating is reapplied to the area where it was removed.
Yeah, the wax is difficult with the beach and the sand, because it gets, especially on Emily's mural on Park and Oceanfront Walk, because it gets a lot of sand and, you know, and then it sticks to the, warms up and sticks to the wax. But yeah, that's what the city's been using for a long time.
So we're looking at both those products, but we believe that as both organizations, both City and Spark, are able to get more of those murals protected, we believe that we can play a role in helping to maintain them. So that would be good. Other City Hall-oriented issues. I attended a meeting yesterday with sanitation at Hyperion Treatment Plant. They talked about a number of things that are going on that are relative to what we do. The two I think that would be of most interest to our members would be street vending, a little bit of clarity on how that process is going to take place. Currently, there is no permitting process. They do expect to have the permitting process in place by the beginning of next year. This is a Public Works division of responsibility. Street Services will handle the permitting. However, sanitation, and they will have a role in enforcing compliance with the permits. Sanitation expects to have a role in ensuring that street vendors have a way to dispose of their trash and their recyclables. They are considering an approach to make their goal. They understand that vendors will not travel too far or go out of their way necessarily. Some of them may not take their trash with them or things like that, so they want to make it easy. One of the things that they're looking at to make that compliance easier is that in areas where they have significant clusters of street vending, that sanitation would find locations to drop both a trash and a recycling container, and to ask the vendors to bring that to them. I, along with some of the other business improvement districts in the city, cautioned that that might not be adequate, that most people will tend to dump the trash in the nearest city trash can. So we shared that feedback and indicated that our trash cans are often hitting overflowing as it is. So they're still looking at solutions for that, but they are working through that process to set up the permitting system for next year. And lastly, last week, the City Council considered something known as the Mitchell Settlement. And this is a bit of a tough one to cover because the details of the settlement have not been made public. Nothing has been put in writing or presented to the public. But Mitchell is the latest of a series of cases over the last decade plus, maybe 2 decades, in regards to the city removal of the personal property of the homeless. So it is fairly similar to some other cases that have preceded it. It alleges that certain plaintiffs had essential personal property like paperwork, identification, or medication taken during a city cleanup. The issue, I think, all bids across the city, and certainly, I would certainly speak for our bid, we don't ever want to see that type of personal property taken from anyone. However, the concerns in the settlement are twofold. One, the city did pass, the City Council did approve in past years what's known as 5611. That was a 60-gallon rule, and it was seen as a way to balance the rights of the homeless and yet to not allow an unlimited amount of personal property on public streets and